Raider Nation. We are in the building. As you can see, we have a very, very special guest in the house. We have Chris with Protect the Shield podcast. We got a lot of good information for you. Russ, yay, nay, we're going to get into it all the future cuts and the current cuts, but let's go. What's up?
What's going on? That's a fire intro, man. I like that.
Appreciate it, man. Shout out to my boy Santana. It was him playing saxophone, and he just added his own little, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, like I said, Nation, we got a very special guest. We have Chris here with the Protect the Shield podcast. Some very fire interviews, very, very fire content. We were on last night. I was on his platform last night. We had a very fire show.
Yeah.
We had OG with us too. That was
OG,
dropping dropping some nuggets, man. Like he was dropping some good stuff. I couldn't even, you know what I mean? There was nothing to even say.
It's hard to back that up sometimes. It's hard to follow that, man.
I was like, hey, he spoke it well. Shoot, hey, I see the plan.
Yeah,
for sure. So Chris, let us know, man. How did it all get started?
Man, so I started. I officially started back in April, man. And to be honest, I was just a fan, just like everyone else, and it was a division of the whole Derek Carr. It was like it was a Derek Carr division that started kind of getting under my skin because people started, regardless of how you felt about Derek Carr, I just couldn't stand that people were putting a player above the Shield, and it was bothering me. Because as long as Derek was on the team, I supported him. I wanted him to do well, but I was at the point where it's like, man, I'm ready to try something else, man. But then, like, I would get attacked for not liking Carr and all that, and I'm like, no, it's all about the Shield first. And I was like, man, I want to try to put together a platform where, the Shield's first, and one of my saying is players and coaches will come and go, but we must always protect the Shield. So that was kind of like my overall thing. I'm like, I'm going to start a platform where we're not going to bash, anybody. Like you can have your opinion, but we're not going to just belittle each other all day and every day. We're gonna put the Shield first. So that's kind of my thought behind it. So I just went ahead and got a logo created, and I just started studying on a lot of the content creators that's out there today, man. Just kind of seeing what they do, how they do it, and just put my own twist on it. But I always just wanted to be authentic, man. I'm not the most articulate person, but I'm passionate, and I know football. Like no other. And I could talk Raiders all day, and it don't feel like work to me, at the most part, man. So I just got out there, man, just started building a little community, and I'm starting to get a little momentum, man. So that's kind of where I'm at. I met good people like you who's been in the game, and I respect you guys, and learn a lot from you brothers.
I appreciate it too, man. That's why I say we got to link up too, because we got to get it together
for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, and I love the progress. You know what I mean? Love the stuff you're doing. And around that time too, I lost a lot of fans myself. Like, you know what I mean? Just because I'ma just like you say it how it is. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
sugarcoat it. I'm not
yeah,
gonna, like out of respect for him being on our team, of course I support it. Even when Josh McDaniels, I wasn't a big fan, but I support it because he was a
yeah,
Raider. It didn't go the way we wanted it to go. Like Derek, I felt like we just needed a little bit more because there
yeah,
was just some times it'd be like, come on, bro, like either throw the ball. You know what I mean? When I would see him run, I would think plays was over. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I'm like, oh, here we go.
yeah, yeah,
Dead play. And it's nothing personal. It's just results. And he's been there for
exactly.
it was 9 years. You know what I'm saying? Like 9 years. I mean, it's either in you or it ain't you. You know what I
Right.
mean? So that's how I seen it. It was no disrespect to the man. Like he's a great guy, great personality, all that. But as far as getting us over the top, not I don't think that was the guy either. So
Yeah,
and I'm a live with it. You know what I mean? I'm
yeah.
gonna live with it. I can't wait to beat them this year. So
No, that's true. And honestly, it's it's funny you say that like about Josh McDaniels. So like, I was very I was ready to move on from Carr, but again, I will admit when I'm wrong. I was a guy that wanted Josh McDaniels. Like I was excited when we got him because I thought he was going to be a good offensive mind. But again, that goes back to my mentality is when I'm wrong, I stand on it. I was wrong about Josh McDaniels, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with saying I'm wrong. And I think that's what's wrong with a lot of the Raider Nation today is they don't want to admit when they're wrong. They always got to be right. Like, look, I was wrong about Josh McDaniels. It's fine. I'm gonna be wrong again. But hey, I was right about Malcolm Kuntz. Everyone thought Malcolm Kuntz was over. Hey, I hold on to that. But I just think as a fan base, man, we just gotta at the end of the day, just put the team first, man. Some people are going to think this way, some going to think that way, but we're still a family. Like I don't agree with my brothers all the time, but we blood, we family, and that's how we got to look at it.
definitely so. Speaking of the family, let me get to the chat real quick. Let me see what we got it going. All right, yeah.
Got the chat popping this morning.
Yeah, we got it going. Yeah, appreciate you having on, man. Yeah, last night it was fire. Like I was we touched on a lot of good stuff too, man.
Yeah,
And there's a lot more. So we had Tillery was cut today. We had
yeah,
Tillery cut. And which I kind of felt that was going because we didn't really hear too much about him at all. Like that was one of the things that I think we got a lot of actually people that might not be coming back too. So Nichols, we got John Jenkins,
yeah.
and also Adam Butler. I hope we
I
can
like
work out.
Adam.
Yeah, me too. I'm hoping we could keep Adam Butler. I hope John Jenkins can try to give us at least one more year. That would be nice. But
Yeah,
then, like they were saying too, we got Nesta Jade. We got I keep mixing it up. Is it Byron or Brian?
Byron Young.
Yeah, Brian. It's either Byron or Byron.
Oh yeah,
Byron Young.
yeah. He was a rookie last year. So
Yes. So yeah,
yep,
they could know something maybe that we don't know, and maybe that might not even be a need because we do
yeah,
got some stuff in the back burner. So
yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, Tillery. I would have been okay either way with Tillery. I actually thought we may have retained Tillery just because Telesco originally drafted him, but he didn't do well with the Chargers. But Tillery seemed to like be spotty. He'll play well sometimes, but he just wasn't consistent. Um, so I don't know. I'm not surprised. I'm ready to just upgrade on that defensive tackle. So, I wish Tillery well.
yeah, I know we talk about it doesn't matter where people come from, but I think we need to get a lot of. Is Brandon Bolden still with us? Because
I don't think so.
okay, cool. 'Cause I was gonna say we got rid of Hoyer, we got rid of Bolden, we got rid of I think Justin Haran. We had a lot of Patriot players that weren't even
Yeah,
playing on, and that's what like I got irritated with because I'm like if you're bringing in all these Patriot players and all this kind of stuff, I mean they don't even play. These are third, fourth string players.
yeah,
So it's like now we can fill this roster in with some players that can play now. That
yeah.
can
Who can actually
actually,
contribute for sure.
yeah. So we just freed up a lot of space. Appreciate it. Let me see. So one of the things I enjoyed about your podcast was the Hugh Jackson interview. That was really fire, and definitely got to check out the first one too. If you guys
Yeah.
haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. Um, but yeah, I could I could watch it over and over, man, because it's just it takes me back to those times. Because
Mhm.
I've like we were talking about like we were actually on the rise, and it was like just like always, they kind of shake things up. They got rid of Hugh, and then we had another breakdown of the roster and everything like that. So, but we were actually on headed up. Like we were trying to break even. I think that was one of the rare times that we were able to get to 8-8. And then just, trying to get to that winning record. But before that was 4-12s and like 5 and what I
Yeah.
mean? Like so all those, it was just a rough time. But I felt with him, he had a chemistry with the team. I really felt so for you, how did that interview go?
Man, it was great. Like I said, that was my second time interviewing him. And honestly, like when I first started my whole process of all this, like my goal was never to be like one of the guys that just goes live all the time. Like I wanted to really interview, maybe some of the forgotten Raiders. Like I actually love that Hugh Jackson era because even like before then, like we were bad, but I still enjoyed watching those teams, but especially him. Um, I think back at I think 2010 is when he came to us as a offensive coordinator. So the year before we had like the 31st ranked offense.
Yeah.
Then when he comes in, we got the 6th ranked offense. He took us up to 6. Um, and just watching him, like he was like a breath of fresh air because you saw him take chances. Like the first play of the game, he might throw a bomb, just to make sure the other team is paying attention type stuff. So, and I love the building a bully. Like it was just like he just gave me that feel. And then like watching how he used McFadden. McFadden, even to this day, McFadden will always be one of my favorite Raiders. I wish he could stay healthy, but I loved watching Darren McFadden. Loved Michael Bush. I just loved everything about that team, even though we didn't win. But I think just growing up, I mean, that he gave me some hope because I'm like, man, if we keep doing this, we're about to, finally get a winning record, finally start going back to the playoffs. Because before then, we didn't go to the playoffs since what the Super Bowl, I think. So it was like 2002. So we're talking about 8 years since we even had a winning record. So but anyway, but talking to him, he was just a down to earth guy, and really was able to kind of get me some behind the scenes stories, about Al Davis, with him being the last coach that Al Davis ever hired.
Mhm.
It was just it was a great situation. Like I felt like I was just in heaven, man, just talking to him, and had a chance to talk to him 2 times, and we're at the point now where we're you know, I'd consider us, pretty good acquaintances. We text each other, um, I just on some hey, Merry Christmas type stuff, so just keeping in contact with him and I wish him the best. He's just a solid dude.
Yeah, and like you said, the last coach that Al Davis hired, the last quarterback that was drafted pretty much picked by him was Terrell Pryor.
Yeah,
And
supplemental
that
draft.
yeah, and I like the pick. I mean, back, I don't know if it was just because he was a brother, but you know what I'm saying? Like just to have that speed factor, I like that. Really liked having him on our team. And if it wasn't for, I think it was the knee injury or something like a lower leg injury, I think he could have probably been special. But I think we
Mhm.
kind of used him the wrong way a little bit, and he was more run heavy than staying in the pocket. So that's what comes with that with
Yeah.
that with that risk. But
Yeah, with Pryor, as a lot of people know, I'm a Michigan fan. So in college, I hated him because he used to kick our butt, man.
oh
But
yeah,
but I secretly liked him because he was sweet. I'm like, man, that dude can play. He wasn't the best thrower, but he was like in today's game, he would be nice. But I think it was just not the right time for him to be a quarterback. But after he left us, he had some good years in was it Washington? No, I forgot where he was.
I
I see,
think it
I see,
was
Alpha
it
Kasi's in
Washington.
the building. He may remember, but I forgot. I want to say maybe Jacksonville or the
It,
Redskins or something.
I think it was Jacksonville, but
Jacksonville.
it was somewhere else too, though.
I think it was Jacksonville and the Redskins. But yeah, Terrell Pryor had
Yeah,
some very good some very decent receiving years. But when he was with us, he didn't want to be a receiver. He wanted to be quarterback. So, it is.
yeah. And then he got shot or stabbed or something like that. I
Yeah,
heard
by his
it like,
girlfriend.
yeah, it was crazy. Like, so I always kind of kept tabs on him. I would love to have him on the show too. I'm gonna try to keep reaching out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it seems like we've always went through like the refresh. Like every time we get a new coach, it's a new system. We get rid of players that they don't feel. And so we always lose. We always lose every bit of progress that we get. We
Yeah.
always lose it. But at least with this one, we kind of hang on to, someone that was been here, even though, he was here with the whole McDaniels scheme, but then we still get to keep him. And Pierce knows the team needs. He knows defense. That's why I love keeping him here, because
Yeah.
him plus Graham, I think, is a great combination, because you got two heads and it's always better than one. So I feel like with that, and it's just I'm really not really worried about the defense right now. Like I'm honestly worried about this offense that we were putting out on the field.
Yeah.
Because it was like, for what it looked like on paper with Jacoby, with Adams, with Josh coming back, with all these things, and it was kind of like, what happened? Like, and my view of it was the offensive line. I felt like it was definitely the offensive line, and we kind of blame quarterback, we blame this and that. It was a little bit of everything. But we had the carousel of quarterbacks this year, which didn't, and how we talked about Josh McDaniels with Jimmy G. I was thinking, I'm not that it was an upgrade by much, but I was thinking, okay, he's been to big games. We talked about that last night too.
Right.
He's been,
Right.
he's been to get big games. He's been in, Super Bowl, didn't win them, but was there, and had the experience. So I was thinking, okay, maybe he can just do what he did over there, just manage, and that didn't work out either. It was just, it was crazy.
Yeah.
And the first game we played against Denver, he actually won that game for us.
He did his thing. Yeah, he did his thing.
Like
Yeah.
he ran for first downs. He did, he closed that game out. So
Yeah.
after that, I was like, okay, we might have
Yeah.
something. And
Yeah.
we go
Yeah,
we going to
yeah.
slide. Yeah, so it was just crazy. And and a lot of that too, like if you think back and look back at it, there was injuries. Like he got knocked out of a game. Devontae got knocked out of a game. Jacoby got knocked out of. So it was always like we were plugging in. That's why I want us to get some more help with the wide receivers too, because I felt like that kind of cost us too, because not having them, they just zoned in on whoever was available. If it was Devontae, we just gonna double Devontae and make somebody else beat us.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think the difference though is, for some reason, McDaniels didn't use the tight ends like I thought he would, and maybe it was Jimmy. Jimmy, wasn't comfortable, but I don't know. It just doesn't make sense, because Jimmy usually likes to hit the tight end. He did it a lot when he was in San Francisco, and Josh McDaniels, actually, his offense was kind of built around tight ends as well. So I was surprised that we didn't start off early getting Michael Mayer the rock. But I think this year Michael Mayer is going to open up that middle, I believe. And I think the emergence of Trey Tucker is going to be huge, because Trey is going to be able to open it up with his speed, athleticism. And honestly, I love the 1-2 punch with Tay and Jacoby. To be honest, I think we're set at wide receiver. I mean, maybe get one more guy that's just like real fast, that can kind of, that they gotta, be scared of the deep threat. But besides that, I'm okay, man. I think if we're talking about offense, man, just get that offensive line together and figure out what we're doing at quarterback. And I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to go to war against anybody.
I definitely agree, man. Like I definitely need more speed. I'm always because Al Davis was screaming for speed, so
Oh yeah. Oh
I'm
yeah.
always be with AD. We got a guest in the building too. We got Avocasi with us.
AR.
AR the one.
And he
What's going on, Jason? My boy
and
Chris.
AR loves that U Jackson T. He loves that era, man. Me and
Oh,
him talk
Dude,
about
you
that.
know, as soon as you started talking about it, I had to
Yeah.
pull up one time on my McFadden jersey. I'm right there with you, Chris. That's a team and an era, and salute to the chat. That is well and dear to my heart because that was the my early days as a Raider fan. I started being a Raider fan back in 2009. So 2010 and 11 is when I started to really invest because that was my first opportunity to watch Game Pass and actually watch every game live. Because initially I had to listen to the play calls when I got the chance live in 2009 when they didn't play the few Raider games that they did on the cable TV. So 2010 is when I started to watch every game live, and I have done since then. But that's a team that's dear to my heart. Like I loved McFadden, I loved Jason Campbell, Denarius Moore, Jacoby Ford. Say what you will about Darius Hayward-Bay. He wasn't worth a first-round draft pick, but you know what? He turned out to be a solid guy. There's a reason why he had like an 8, 9, 10-year career in the league.
Yeah.
You know, guys like did we talk about Darren McFadden? Marcel Reese was in that team. Zach Miller defensively, Tommy Kelly, Richard Seymour, Lamar Houston, Cam Wembley, Nnamdi Asomugha, Michael Huff, Tyvon Branch. You know what I mean? Like they're guys that are all dear to my heart.
Yeah,
I was heartbroken when they didn't make the playoffs and when they came up short 2011. But still, like I'm right there with you, Chris. I have a lot of great memories of that era, and honestly, like McFadden, he's there's a reason why I still got his jersey, and I rock this to this day. For me, I'm talking specifically in my time as a fan, I would take McFadden in his prime over any running back we've had since, and that includes Josh Jacobs at his best. Might I stress? At his best, he was a weapon of unmatched proportions, and there was a reason why he was considered one of the most dangerous players in the league on a team and at a time when we didn't really have much else offensively. I like those other guys, but they weren't the baller that McFadden was in his prime. So.
Yeah, that was a special era. Like if you guys remember, so when we had DHB, we had Murphy, and then
Lewis Murphy. I like Lewis Murphy.
Who came and shocked everybody was Denarius Moore. Do you guys remember how he just came and he just started catching long balls? He was mossing cats. Like there was a couple games where he was like, it was the whole out of your mind era. You know what I mean? When that
I remember that celebration when they did that. Yeah,
was Denarius Moore? Was he in that same draft as Hayward-Bay?
I feel
no, he was the year after. I believe we drafted him and Jacoby Ford the year after we drafted Hayward-Bay and Lewis Murphy, because Lewis Murphy was a round 4 guy who was actually better than Hayward-Bay in his rookie season.
Yeah,
thank you. I was gonna say I like Moore, Murphy,
who pretty much took his reps, and then Hayward-Bay started to develop, and he became a decent number 2. He was never a number 1 guy. He was never going to live up to the expectation that was put on him by drafting him at the first round. But it's like I stressed, like people seem to forget that he developed into a decent role guy. Like he had 890 yards in his second last season with us before he left for free agency, and he would have got that 1,000-yard landmark if it had not. Remember the concussion he suffered when he caught a ball in the end zone, and he just got knocked the F out, and then he didn't play for the last 2 games of the season. I believe that's why he came up short from 1,000 yards. But man, like people knock him for being not living up to that first round draft status, but he was still, like I said, a decent guy in the end.
And the thing is, I mean, at some point you got to put that on the team. Like he had no business being drafted where he was, you know. I mean, even I look at that even with Cleveland Farrell. Like, Clee didn't live up to it, but we had no business taking him number 4, you know. Right. So it was like, you know, it goes both ways, man. It goes both ways.
I've been highly critical of Clee Farrell too, and I stand by everything I said, but I was able to make peace with that in his 4th season with us. It was like, look, I'm going to stop looking at him for what we expect him to be, and I'm going to look at him and appreciate for what he is. He's a decent enough role guy. He's good against the run. He's again, like I said with Hayward-Bay, I'm going to say that about Clee Farrell. Like he was never going to live up to that high expectation from drafting him at number 3, and you don't draft number 3 for a rotational guy. You draft there for a cornerstone for your defense. And Cleve Farrell just wasn't that. However, he did become a good role player, which is what he was in the end. Yeah. And he still is with the Niners.
Yeah, he got to Mahomes a couple times. Like I felt like the few times they did kind of get him in there too. He did shine against KC. It was rare, but he did get some sacks against Mahomes, which was crazy. But we got some good things going. Like, so at least we got a system we can trust. I still want to see what the offense looks like, once it gets going. Let me get into some. Let me see. So, like I said, we got Tillery gone. We got Hoyer gone. Who do you guys think's next?
Garoppolo, hopefully.
You say who?
Buddy. Yeah.
Jimmy G.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Jimmy G will be going. Renfro. We know Renfro will be going eventually.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Very disappointed how it turned out with Renfro.
Me too.
I was hoping to see more out of him, and I expected more. Disappointing that it looks like his Raider career is going to be over. But like, if it is over, I would rather look back and appreciate for when he was good. You know what I mean? Like, for the most part, he has exceeded what we expected from him. Where did we take him? Like, in the draft? Like, round, third round, fifth round?
Like
fifth or
fifth. Fourth or fifth.
Yeah.
So
fourth
to get as much production as what we got when he was good, like, that's, to me, is a win. So I would rather, when his career, like any Raider player, when their careers are done as a Raider, I would rather look back and look at their career as a whole and appreciate for the good times rather than look at how it ended.
No, I agree. One thing I liked about Hunter, man, is like, he had heart. He had heart. Like, I'll never forget that time when he was, doing the punt return, and he noticed that they're about to do a fake punt, and he ran over to the sideline and cracked that dude. Like, he got heart. He got heart of a lion, man. And it's like, he just kind of got in a doghouse with McDaniels. And I just think he just couldn't get out of it, because even after McDaniels left, it was like he still didn't really have it. It wasn't the same guy, It was like he was still dropping the ball, so like he didn't have the the attention. Like, he was losing focus. He already isn't the fastest guy, but I don't know. But he seems like he would be a good teammate, So I'm going to always respect him. Hopefully, he can go to the Saints and reconnect with Carr and have a decent career. Just not against us. But he's one of the guys that I hope he continues to do well.
Right, like that. He just wasn't the player he once was. It seemed glaringly obvious he'd lost his mojo and his confidence, and he just hasn't been able to regain that. And because of the salary cap that we've been strapped with for signing him to the contract we did, it seems like it would make sense to move on from Renfro. But good luck in your future endeavors. I will always appreciate what he's done as a Raider.
Same.
Definitely. There's been a lot of moments with Renfro too, man. Like, you talk about that. That was a good play too. The punt play. Also, like, remember that baseball slide catch that he had? It was like,
yeah.
I believe it was against the Colts to win the game.
It was crazy. And when last year, when he had the that run where he hurdled dude, and then like, it's like when he gets the ball, he's a beast. Like, if you look at him, you're like, oh, this dude ain't gonna do nothing. And then when like he gets the ball, he turns into an animal.
Yeah.
So it's good to see. Like, it's bittersweet. I still feel like he can. It's just they have to do the right thing with him. Like, you can't take him outside and you have to have him in motion and just let him.
He's limited. He's definitely limited.
Yeah. And that's why I say, because people say we're good at wide receiver. We're really not. Like, we always need to add more. It's like always more weapons, more.
If there's a quarterback who can utilize Renfro to his strengths, then he can be what we know he's been able to do at his best with the Raiders. It just seemed to me like unfortunately, when Carr left out, like, the QBs that we had in the room since then, just haven't been able to get on the same page with Renfro and being able to utilize Renfro at his best. Because remember, early on, was it last season or this season? I think it was the season that just transpired. Like, especially in those first few games, I noticed that Renfro was getting wide open on many occasions, and he's not even getting looked at.
Not even looked at.
Especially with Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, I mean, there was especially that, I believe it was the second game of the season where on 2 occasions where he was wide open for what could have been a touchdown, nothing but green grass in front of him. He's not even getting looked at. Instead, Jimmy Garoppolo rolls to his left. I remember on one, what do you call it? I think it was a skinny post route where there was nothing but green grass. Instead, Garoppolo rolls to his left and throws an interception.
Yeah. And that's, and honestly, and AR, you probably remember, but like, and that's one of the things is like, I was one of the few that was holding on to the whole Josh McDaniels isn't that bad thing. Cause I'm like, the guys are open. It's just Jimmy is not finding the guys. Cause literally you would watch the game and you will see like, Renfro wide open or Mayer wide open. And it's like, Jimmy, what are you doing? What are you doing? Right. So it's like, I don't know. So, but I'm glad, McDaniels is going now, but it was just like, it was just a perfect storm, man. It was just very ugly. No one, no chemistry, but we're at a good place now. I'm feeling good. I don't know how you guys are feeling, but I this is the best that I've felt coming off of a losing season in a long time, honestly.
Yeah, me too. And to what you said about with Renfro, I remember one of the damning things. A lot of players had subliminal things to say, but do you remember when McDaniels got the boot and Renfro was one of the first guys to come out and said, I feel like I can be myself again.
Exactly.
Very damning.
Damn it. Yeah, that's true.
But anyways, I'm right there with you. I haven't felt this good leading up to a season for a while now. So it's good to feel good about Raider football again. not that I don't, but you know what I mean.
And that's another reason why, and I'm sorry, Jason, I don't want to over talk. Yeah, I'm sorry, but that's one thing that like a lot of fans, they were talking about, hey, we should have tanked at the end of the season and all that stuff to try to get a better draft pick. I'm glad we went out as winners. Like for me, like I felt like we ended the season well. We won some games. I would way rather have this and feeling like this and to be at the pick 13 than going off on a losing streak and end up at pick, 7 or 6 or whatever. I know people want a quarterback, but to me, I think those wins give us, our fans, something to get excited about. Like now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm thinking we're just a couple pieces away to really go to war with almost anybody. But if we would have tanked those last games, and I'm like, okay, we need to just blow it all up, get rid of Devontae, get some picks back. But now I'm like, let's make a couple changes and then let's go to war, man.
Right. Yeah, definitely good point. Definitely good point. I have to admit, like there was a point where we were at 6. I think, it was before we won those last couple games. And I'm like, man, we might as well just stay, because the way McDaniels had us kind of going, we were headed for that first selection. You know what I mean? But yeah, and then that's why when we started talking about the let's trade up for the into that top 5 spot or whatever, I'm like, man, we had the opportunity. If you know what I mean, we were there. But like I said, we finished with pride and we are where we are. And like I understand we were fighting for Pierce's job. There was a lot of stuff that kind of went into it, but I just felt like I don't know, just the way I was thinking, it would be crazy to trade up when we had that. If that's really what we wanted, if that's what we were set at, is getting a quarterback, getting one of the top quarterbacks, we had the opportunity. I'll leave it at that. However it came or whatever. But I'm saying, like, in all honesty, I felt like it would have been silly for us to trade up if we really wanted it, we could have let it play out how it played out. We could have kept McDaniels and then just, hire Pierce at the end of the season. But like I said, it had to shake out. We had to see what Pierce had. Pierce brought a fire that we needed, because it was looking like because I said it like when we were losing, we're not this bad. Like we're losing these games, but we're not that bad. I believed in my heart we were not that bad of a football team. And it's like we got on paper, we looked hella good. Our offense was supposed to be top 5. And it was just like it was a ghost of Raider football. So and it is not what we do. So I'm glad that we're back to the fire squad, and yeah, and you said it right. We do not need that much. It's just a couple players here. It's pretty much someone for the other side because
trenches, man. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So it's like we're kind of one sided at every position. So now we just have to fill in those other positions. Because I like what we've seen out of Adam Butler. I just feel like maybe hopefully Nesta can be that guy to step up into that second role or whatever, or Byron Jones,
Byron Young.
Byron Young. Thank you. See, I should know his name more if he produced more. So
has he earned it, right?
Yeah,
that's what I said. He's got to earn it.
It's like 3 years in a row. We're still thinking about defensive tackles. Like, come on, guys. Come on.
Well, we still got to see how Tyree shakes out. I mean, he moved to interior, and I mean, for a first round draft pick, like we really are hoping that he can solidify a starting spot somehow, some way, whether it's at DT or moving back to defensive end. Like I don't want to, as much as we just talked about Cleve Ferrell, and as much as I appreciate Cleve Ferrell for being a role guy and being good at what he did, that's not what I want from a top 10 pick. And Tyree Wilson, like, granted, he was doing better when they moved him to interior, but it's still, for me, very underwhelming for picking at number 7. But I'm still going to give him a chance. And I'm hoping if the move is to keep him at interior, like, we're still looking for somebody to solidify that spot. Like we talked about Butler, and I like Butler. He came out of nowhere and emerged to be a pretty decent player, but I still hope we can find a cornerstone in that interior, much like Max Crosby is that cornerstone at end. And thank Christ for the emergence of Malcolm Kuntz. You know what I mean? Like, he's a guy like I had hopes for, but I didn't, in my wildest dreams, imagine that he could produce the way he came on that second half of the season and give us confidence that, like, you know what, we may have found our Robin to Crosby's Batman, and maybe he might even be, a Superman Batman kind of deal where they're both great players, because he's only going to be trending upwards. So but Tyree, I hope he can have a second year development where we can be confident. Like, if he emerges by year 2, fantastic, but year 3, I want him to really take that step at the very least, to at least solidify a starting job somehow, somewhere.
Yeah, I think him and Max kind of have the similar thing, like how they're built. They're kind of built for more speed, not quite power, but their flexibility gives them, advantages over these stiff tackles. So they're able to get to the quarterbacks, and that's why I think that combination will give Mahomes some trouble. I really do.
Yeah.
And it's like we just have to find our push up the middle too. And
if you really watch Tyree, the thing with him, he has those long arms, and his bull rush was nice. Like that's his move, the bull rush. But if, from what I'm hearing, he's spending a lot of time, or he's going to spend a lot of time with Max this offseason. But if he can get his hands together where he can, do some hand-to-hand combat and be able to swat and swim and all that stuff, he's going to be tough. Because he's actually like the way he plays, like, I don't know how strong he is, but he plays strong. Like his bull rush, like, he was pushing, those offensive guards back. He was really getting some penetration later in the season. I think his thing is he has to get a better get off, and his get off was terrible. But once he got his hands on you, he was able to push people back. And once he gets that hand-to-hand arsenal together, he'll have a chance, man. It's all about how motivated he is, and if he can get a little bit of that Max Crosby dog and motor in him, we might have something.
Well, hopefully his shortcomings and underwhelming rookie season can light a fire and motivate him, as you said, to go to work, and hopefully that leads to results. Like I said, like my least expectation for Tyree is solidify a starting role. And I don't see why that's outside of the realm of possibility. And that's what you expect from a first round draft pick. Yeah. If it hasn't happened year 1, okay, but by year 2, year 3, like, I want to see something.
Yep. Yeah. We got some late breaking news from Mr. Rodriguez. Broncos just traded Jerry Jeudy to the Browns. To the Browns.
Right
Hey, so
now.
the donkeys just got even worse, guys.
It got even worse.
Got even worse. Just when we thought it wasn't possible.
I love it.
Good.
And that's why we need to have them pay for our quarterback.
Exactly. Let's hit them where it hurts. That's crazy.
But yeah, the Broncos are going to be trash for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, mark my word, a lot of people think I'm crazy. The Chargers are going to be trash under Harbaugh. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah.
I hope so.
I think he will. I think they will, man. I really do. We'll see.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, and see how Jerry Jeudy just went to Denver, or just went to the Browns. Mm-hmm. I kind of wanted Renfro to be traded to the Browns just because him and Deshaun Watson, that connect. Because I thought that would be a good connection right there.
Yeah.
But hey,
I see him at the Saints. Honestly, I guarantee Carr's going to pound the table. Carr will, take another restructure contract to make room for Renfro. I think that's his guy.
Yeah.
Can I just address a comment in the chat? Like, and I salute to my 2 cents. Like, I'm right there with you. I was very underwhelmed, and for the most part, not really that impressed with Tyree. But at the same time, like I highlighted with Malcolm Kuntz, like it can happen. Like, he's a prime example of what I keep saying. Like, your first 2 seasons, I'm willing to give you concessions as long as you're showing development and promise. But by year 3, I want you to make good on that development. And Kuntz is a good example of that said process. So as much as I'm not with Tyree, and I'm not really, like I said, I'm very underwhelmed by what I've seen so far, even though I did see improvement moving to the interior. I'm still going to give him a chance, and I'm hoping for a Malcolm Kuntz kind of result in the end. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't think we talked about it yet, but AR, I haven't heard your take on the Russell Wilson take for 1.2. Bro, we'll say Russell for 1.2.
I've shared the panel with you, Chris, and you already know my feelings. I'll start with the negative first, and then you know what? I'm going to go with the positive. I personally am not a fan of just the locker room kind of respect that he seems to have commanded from former players, whether it be his time at the Broncos, like seeing the footage of players just kind of nonchalant, that footage of him in the locker, like when players are going to the locker room at halftime and he's standing there trying to high five everyone, and for the most part they're just walking past me like, stop being such a cornball, you know what I mean?
Like, move, dude.
And then there's other footage of players kind of like laughing at him and snickering at him and not hesitating to kind of push back at him, you know what I mean, like arguing on the sidelines, whatever it may be, and multiple players like talking out against him, like that were with him during his time at the Seahawks. Like Marshawn Lynch had some things to say. Sherman had some things to say. I think some other guys had some things to say. So those are the things I don't like, as well as like with me, like his production with the Broncos, when you look at it on paper, wasn't too bad, but you don't hear any former players clamoring for them to bring back Russell Wilson. And for me, it's always a red flag when a team moves on from a quarterback and they're not set with his replacement. You know what I'm saying? Like that was my red flag with Jimmy G last year. It's like, well, the Niners have Brock Purdy. Granted, he did turn out to and play pretty well, but like, if Jimmy G was so great, why were they willing to release him into the wild and rock with a 7th round guy who actually turned out to be decent? But to my point, like, it's always kind of, buyer beware when teams move on from, especially at the quarterback position, when they're not set with a guy who's even a decent replacement. I mean, the Broncos, who have they got? Jarrett Stidham? Like, yeah, I liked what I saw from that 49ers game a couple of years ago, but like, is he someone that like you really want to be riding off to the sunset with? In my opinion, no. However, that's the negatives. On the positive side of it, and I've shared this with Chris, like back during a time when I watched a lot more football than Raider football, I watched a lot of Russell Wilson. I watched Russell Wilson's ascension to becoming, and he was one of the better quarterbacks in the league. especially during that time when they made a couple of Super Bowls, won a Super Bowl. Granted, they had the Legion of Boom, but Russell Wilson still did his job. You know what I mean? Yeah. I watched him getting drafted live and his reaction, and I saw him earn and win the starting job and run with it for quite a few years with the Seahawks. Because remember, when they drafted him, they were actually banking on Matt Flynn to be their starter. Yeah. And he had to go out in preseason and he took the job from Matt Flynn, much like Derek Carr did back when we brought in Matt Schaub, and he was supposed to be the guy. Derek Carr was supposed to sit behind him, but Derek Carr earned the job in preseason, much like Russell Wilson earned the job in their preseason. So I watched a lot of his time as a Seahawk, and I did like what I saw and his play. And granted that he still was productive with the Broncos. I didn't watch a lot of Bronco football outside of when they played us. So there is that. At his best, he's still a good quarterback. How far away he is from his best, I guess we're going to have to wait and see, like next season. I'm not going to get too excited for Russell Wilson unless he signs as a Raider. You know what I mean? Then all this is just for naught, right? It's like
that makes sense. That makes sense.
All this, debating about him is just like, well, he may likely not be a Raider. He'd probably go sign somewhere else. But if we do sign him, I'm going to get behind him, and I'm going to hope that he can be what I once saw being one. He doesn't even have to be that, but like at least a really good quarterback still. You know what I mean? If he does produce with us, cool. I'll be with it. I'm going to support him and try and get behind him, and hopefully he does, if he is a Raider, turn out to be a good signing. But we'll see.
That's definitely a fair take. Definitely fair take. I mean, I'm not the biggest Russ guy, but it's for me, it's business, because from what we need to do with our franchise, we need all the discounts we could get, and he's not, I feel like he's an upgrade over what we have currently.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, if we draft a quarterback this year too, it kind of takes the pressure off us having to draft so high, because we got, we can kind of touch on some other needs knowing that we really don't need it right now. So we can address some other holes and other issues. And for 1.2, I mean, we've spent way worse and got much less, you know what I mean? So I just feel like it'll be a upgrade. It gives us the mobile, he's not the Russell Wilson of old, but he still knows how to, move around and get to the outside. So I feel like it would be good for us so that we don't, it won't cripple us. We can get that. We can stick it to the Broncos. We could help cripple the Broncos, which, we put that foot on that neck, and just, that's one less team we got to worry about in that division. So, and I feel like our only competition should be Kansas City. Our bar should be Kansas City. So we got to keep the Broncos down where they are. They're going through this whole rebuild and all this kind of stuff. So while they're down, this is our chance to take over that second to first spot in that division. The Chargers. Yes, sir.
No, sorry. I thought you finished. My bad.
No, I was going to say the Chargers are going to be competitive. It's not like we can not, they still have Herbert. They're still, because I don't think Herbert is as bad as people kind of think he is. I think
Herbert's good.
Yeah, I think he's a decent quarterback, and I wish we had someone like a Herbert.
He just had a terrible coach. That's
yeah,
all.
And I feel like their wide receivers weren't that good. You know what I mean? Like, so he didn't have quite the weapons that but he did. It seems like he always does pretty good against us sometimes. So. I don't know, but like I said, that's not, we're trying to keep the Broncos and the Chargers in third and fourth place while we battle for this first place with the Chiefs.
Can I ask you a question, Jason? Because you made up a good point that you made up. Sorry, you brought up a good point by saying that it eases the pressure of us taking a quarterback. If we do bring Russell Wilson, we're banking on him being at least a fairly productive quarterback. I'm not going to expect him to be the Russell Wilson of old, but he can still produce somewhat. I just don't want him to be such a dick, so to say. You know what I mean? But anyways, my question was going to be to you and Chris as well. Like, even if we did bring him in the door, would you do you still want to take a swing for a quarterback early in the draft, possibly trade up, or would you rather hold fast and just see where the cards fall kind of deal if we do bring in a Russell Wilson?
I'm gonna let it play out type person. Like I'm gonna just let the cards fall where they fall. And I just because we've been there, we've done that, we've seen other teams do that, and it's. I feel like no one knows who's going to be the guy. We're all hoping. Everyone's hoping it's going to be Caleb. Everyone's hoping it's going to be May. It's going to be, Jaden Daniels. But no one really knows who's going to actually make it. So I feel like we need more picks. I would trade back if anything because I feel like we do need to go defense with that first pick because as we see in the Super Bowl, that's what it was. It was a defensive struggle. I mean, there was times where that game was just back. It was just back and forth. And defense wins those games. Like, it's offense gets you there, yeah, but in the Super Bowl, it seems like it's always coming down to defense. So I feel like we just we have a good defense right now, but there's still holes and we still need to because we need to compete. Like, and whoever the quarterback is, we have to help them out. Because last year we had a good defense and we couldn't score over 17 points. You know what I mean? So it's like at times – defense is going to keep us in games. Like I remember game 1 with Russell. Russell against us almost beat us. Damn near almost beat us. And Jimmy G ran for some first downs and kind of got us a win. But Russ played a pretty good game that game. If you guys remember that first game,
yeah,
he was he was throwing that thing. So I feel like with him, if we do the 1.2 thing, we could kind of go defense. And then in that second round, we could select someone that really doesn't have to start right now unless, because we still have Russell and Aiden. And I don't feel that Aiden is that bad of an option as a second option. So no, I feel like Russell will get us through hopefully this year, give the other quarterback time to develop. And by then, what if Russell has a good year? Hopefully, because I feel like Russell can at least get us to the playoffs because he almost got them sorry donkeys to the playoffs. You know what I mean? Late in the season, like we talked about it last night, Chris. They went streaking. They had like a 6-game streak, win streak towards the end of the season. But then, of course, like the Broncos, they fell off. But with our team, I think he could definitely get us to the playoffs with the roster that we have on offense. Because he doesn't have a Devontae Adams over there. He doesn't have a Jacoby Myers over there. He has a whole bunch of second and third string receivers trying to call themselves number ones. So he doesn't have a running game over there. They were prided on defense the prior years, but that's all broken up. Everyone's gone. So. What can we expect him to do with the donkeys? Really, honestly.
Yeah. So me, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, but to answer for that long-winded answer, yes, I would definitely draft in the second round, probably second round quarterback. But worst case, it depends on how the draft goes because you might see something good and you might kind of pass on quarterback because like I said, the worst case, Spencer Rattler, and that's the worst case, and then after that. I'm okay with us keeping Aiden past that. Anything past that. Jordan Travis, I've kind of looked into some of his game and stuff like that too. I kind of see, yeah.
It's a bad boy.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's some sleepers in here. There's some sleepers, and I feel like we don't need to trade up. I mean, yeah, it'd be nice, but we wouldn't be able to do nothing after that. We would just be crippled for years. So I feel like we just need to keep adding to what we got because we don't need that much. We don't need to break the bank.
Well, what about your boy Joe Milton, Chris?
Oh man, yeah.
Don't even get you started.
Yeah, don't get me started. I'll swing back to that. But to answer your other question, man. So when I look at Russ, the whole Russ situation, you guys got to remember, not you guys in particular, but just as a nation, we got to remember that when we're talking about 1.2 million, there's literally going to be special teams players making more than him. Like literally, Brandon Bolden last year was making more than that. And Brandon Bolden basically only did special teams. He was on offense every now and then. So the risk for that is so small. So like, I just don't understand why people are like, oh, well, he's washed up. Okay, if he's washed up, then so be it. Brian Hoyer was washed up.
Ugh.
You know what I'm saying? But the fact that we could potentially get a quarterback for say if Russ gives us 2 years, 2 strong years while a young quarterback develops, you guys like the trajectory of our team can just be crazy because while all that's happening, we're drafting other players, other young players, so we're going to literally be able to get the best offensive lineman or the best defensive lineman at pick 13. Maybe even second round, get the best defensive player available at 13. Plus, that just saves money. So therefore, in free agency, when tampering starts on Sunday, or Monday or whenever it starts, we can go ahead and throw Christian Wilkins an extra $3 to $5 million or whatever we want to do on top of what our original offer was going to be. It just gives us so many options. And again, the quarterbacks that I was thinking about before, I wasn't very high on Rattler, but if Rattler had a chance to sit behind Russell Wilson, who knows what it takes to get to the Super Bowl. Like, again, I'm not the biggest Russell fan. I'm not going to sit here and act like, I think he's just super awesome. But what I will say is he's been to the Super Bowl twice. He knows what it takes to get there. No one's ever questioned his work ethic. Is he corny? Yes. But I don't care if he's corny. Like, I thought Derek Carr is corny. I think Aiden O'Connell's corny. I think we had Jeff Garcia at one point. I think he's corny. I think a lot of people are corny. I mean, just so be it. But I just want us to put ourselves, like, the Raiders never get an opportunity to take advantage of someone. We're always the one getting taken advantage of. And I know yesterday I made that point of, guys, what if you had a girlfriend and you spent some money to get her boobs done, get her a BBL, gave her a tummy tuck, you just made that girl just super fine, and then she leaves you to go with one of your enemies that you hate. Like, we're the enemy. We're the one that now has your fine girlfriend that you invested in, and now she's on our arm, and the Broncos got to pay for it. Like, I just love the thought about that. I just love the thought that the Broncos are literally paying our quarterback to kick their ass twice a year. That's just that. It don't get no better than that, man. That's just like Al Davis would love that. That's just, I don't know. It's such a Raider thing. But and again, Jason, like I was talking yesterday, Jordan Travis, man, he got hurt. If he would have been able to do a medical red shirt and come back next year in college and play one more year, he would have been the first overall pick in next year's draft. I don't care what nobody says. He would have been and if he wouldn't have got hurt this year, he probably would have been, maybe the 4th best quarterback or whatever, like around there, maybe 3 or 4 in the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks this year. The fact that if he gets hurt or he got hurt, we can sit him for a year or 2 and then come play, and we can get him probably in the 5th round, 6th round. I just don't see how we. I mean, it's just I don't know. It's just common sense to me, man. Like, I don't see how we can lose, because if he doesn't do well, if Russ doesn't do well, whatever, we get rid of him. AOC, you won the job, or whoever. Or, hey, Spencer Rattler, you won the job. Let's go. It's so low risk, man.
Yeah. I mean, the amount of money that we gave to Jamarcus Russells, the Derek Carrs, all these different quarterbacks. I mean, 1.2. I think we could do that. I think
Andrew Walter made more than that.
Yeah, right. I think I think that would be a little bit more than AOC. I think someone said it was like 200,000 more than AOC or something like that. But
is it a for certain thing though that he's willing to play for a team for that much if the team has the right pieces, and if he thinks that we do have the right pieces?
Yeah, he said he would. Yeah, he said he'll take a discount on that. And honestly, again, I'm not the biggest Russ fan, but at least on that interview, to me, he sounded humbled and he sounded motivated. Like, he sounded motivated, like, this thing's not over yet for me. And one thing we know about Russ, he's competitive, because, hey, as a rookie, he came out, beat a veteran who was making some good money. I don't know, man. I just, something about having a motivated guy. I mean, think about Josh Jacobs when he was motivated. He was pissed off that we had him out there in the Hall of Fame game. Dude came out motivated, and all he did was win the rushing title. Motivation means something, man.
Right.
Oh, yeah. And they were talking about Russ and not being he wanted his own office and stuff like that. And I mean, I wouldn't want to be around them clowns either. You know what I mean? I don't blame them. You know what I mean? But I think it's a better culture, though. I think with the Raiders, I think it's going to be a better culture. I don't know what they do out there in Denver and all that. Denver, what do they call it, Donkey Country or whatever. I don't know what they do out there, but I the Raider vibe is like no other. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be, it's like you say, Chris, it's all about the shield, man. Like it's a different vibe. And I think Pierce will appreciate that Russell is a competitor. You know what I mean? Like he will compete, and he's been there. Almost won 2 of them if it wasn't for the mistake of not giving Marshawn the ball.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I mean, that was his coach's fault, not kind of his, but but I feel like it's a good thing, man. Like I think he'll come here because I mean, out of all situations of where they're saying that he might go, I feel like we give him the best shot to kind of compete and win now. I mean, you get to go against your old team twice. You know what I mean? Get to stick it to them as they're dismantling as we speak. You know what I mean? So I think it's a good thing, and it like I said, it gives us draft flexibility where we're not just forced to be digging for a quarterback or it's all or nothing.
I guess just to that, like, I guess because I'm on you guys seem to be very pro, and I'm more leaning towards the con side of Russell Wilson signing. Like the other con side of it to me, like you were just talking about like motivation and that, like this to me seems like a team that's very motivated and inspired. And I just don't want Wilson coming in and kind of being a detriment to that, with him not commanding the respect that it seems to have been like for the last couple of teams that he's been a part of. I don't want that dynamic being brought in by a guy who's our quarterback. But on the pro side of it, like, you were talking about like that it's not going to cost much. It's going to be low risk, high reward. Like I do like that. I mean, from that perspective, that if we did bring him in, like if it is, a low budget signing, and if it doesn't pan out, it doesn't. Like if it does, then cool. But me personally, I'm still all aboard the, like I've said it a few times on quite a few lives, that I still think it's the time is now and the time is right to swing for the fences and go grab ourselves a quarterback in the first round. If we trade up, so be it. I just want one time just for it to go right for us. You know what I mean? Like, and if we do get it right with getting a quarterback early, and we found our guy for years to come who takes us back to heights that we haven't seen for the longest time, then fantastic. That would be my ideal scenario, but we'll see how it all shakes out, right?
Yep, great point. Because like you and Chris said it best. Like we've been taken advantage of. We've got the short end of the stick, and this is our chance. I feel so like this is the first domino to fall. Is for us. I feel off the off season. This is the first sign of if we're gonna do things smart or we're gonna do it the hard way. You know what I mean? I feel like trading up this year would cripple us because there's still holes that we need to address this year. Like I think I said it last year that this would be the time to trade up, but from what I've seen with the defense, we kind of got a good thing going. So I kind of want to keep it going. So if worst case we don't get a quarterback this year, and say we do the Russell thing, that's only if we do the Russell thing. I could see that. Because, like I said, that would be the smart option, because then that would open up everything for us after that. Because then now it's just adding pieces around him to make this team better, solidifying this line, so make sure they can protect him enough so he can do what he does. But if we could do that, that would definitely set us in the right direction, and I'm hoping we do. I'm hoping that's the news we hear when this all goes down, because then from there it does give us options. I know, like, it's Russell Wilson's not a Tom Brady, but he's someone that I believe still can win games. He's seen enough football. He's played against some damn good Niner defenses, which is something we're eventually going to have to see if they make it to the Super Bowl again. You know what I mean? But these good teams like the Chiefs, the teams like the Niners, Philly, we'll see if they make it back, but there's teams that we're going to have to beat. We're going to have to learn to beat, and these teams are building. They're stacking. They're retooling, getting even better. So we just have to get to that level. So that's why I just hope that even if we don't get a quarterback this year, we build what we got. We might find some gems this draft. We never know. But then that way we know for sure we could trade up and it not affect us next year. So I don't know who's coming out next year. We'll get into all that later on. But I think the first thing that definitely needs to happen is to get him, because somebody's going to do it. Someone's going to take Russell, and they're going to take advantage and do what we're talking about, build their team around a $1.2 million quarterback. And then, and whoever does it is going to be, well, I'll say if we do it, I think we're going to be successful, but I think we have the best chances.
Can I just address a comment in the chat feed? And salute to you, Cowtown Luda. He left a comment asking, curious what it is that makes Carr, AOC, and Wilson corny. I don't believe Carr and I've never called Carr or AOC corny, but in my personal opinion, but with Wilson, I can give you a few examples. The whole, how he did that video where he's saying like he's Mr. Unlimited.
Oh yeah,
that one. The other video where he said like he's on the plane like after he'd just been signed, and while everyone's asleep, he's doing jumping jacks or whatever it is up and down the aisle while everyone's sleeping in that. Yeah. The whole Broncos country, let's ride kind of deal. That's just a few examples. You asked the question, I thought I'd give my answer. So salute for that.
Nah, for sure. Yeah, I called Carr corny last night. Like it was because not corny. Well, I mean corny as far as like I don't know, because you got guys like I'm trying to think. They got that swagger, man. Like like I like Joe Burrow when he came out, right?
Cool.
Joe, Joe was different. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, he's a gamer. What I liked about Joe Burrow, he's a gamer. Like, quiet dude, whatever, but when it's game time, like his actions are gonna show. But he carries a certain swagger by himself. You know what I mean? There's certain players, but then there's just guys that are just, friendly in the locker room, stuff like that. Yeah, cool. But then I mean, it becomes corny when you're not winning games. That's when it becomes corny.
Yeah, that's a good
corny.
point.
Like when you're not winning games, but if you're winning games, it's hard for them to call you corny.
The other thing was also about the Marshawn Lynch, was it, that came out and said in order to talk to or try and get in touch with Russell Wilson, you had to speak to his publicist to speak to their publicist to speak to in order to get in touch with Russell Wilson, rather than being an approachable kind of guy and being able to talk to as a teammate. Like, yeah, that's kind of corny.
I did see someone's comment too. They were like, yeah, how you gonna ghost beast mode though?
Right.
out of all people. But yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like for me, the way I'll answer it is I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I think Russell Wilson, his corniness was more just out there. I think as far as like Carr's corniness was more like it just doesn't fit the Raider way. Like he fits more of like the Saints way, but like the Raider way, like I don't know, something about just going up to the podium, hey guys, put it all on me, put it all. Like I just hated hearing that. And again, like I don't care about people's, religious review or, views and all that stuff. But it was just like he just came across always kind of like preachy and I'm sorry. I just don't want that. Regardless, like me personally, I think Phillip Rivers never cussed. And I think he's like a real religious person. But I love Rivers on the field. He just had something about him where he would be in the player's ass if he had to be. He seemed fiery. Like I liked how he was like, like I would never call Phillip Rivers corny, you know what I'm saying? And he's probably, just as religious. So I know people are going to be like, oh, is it because he's a Christian? Or no, it has nothing to do with that. It's just, I don't know. Carr is just not someone that you necessarily want to like just go to war with. And AOC seems like a cool guy. Like he's a guy that like, hey, you would date your daughter, but AOC is probably okay with being who he is, and I'm good with that. So I mean, and coin doesn't have to be a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? It's just like that's just who you are. Some people are square, and that's fine.
Yeah. I hated Phil Rivers with a passion when he was the Chargers quarterback. I absolutely loathed him, you know. But to your point, what I will say is I do respect his gamesmanship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I respect, like you've seen that footage where I think it was Yannick Ngakoue hit him as he threw like a 90-yard touchdown.
Yeah,
and he got up, he's like, 90-yard touchdown.
90-yard
touchdown. Like I like that.
Hey, don't say that in my face. He's like, I'm gonna say whatever I want. I don't like that. I can appreciate that. There's another time, I don't know if you guys remember this. I believe it was either 2017 or 2018. The Chargers were beating the brakes off us. It was in the last minute and a half or 2 minutes of the game. The game was lost, and you could hear, and he deliberately said it out loud so that the it could be picked up by the Raiders defense, and it was picked up by the microphones as well. He called out a loud audible, and it was, ha, 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 look at the Raiders defense, ha, ha, ha. Do you remember that?
I do remember
yes,
that.
I do. I'll never forget that.
I hated that. I couldn't stand that.
I hate him too.
Part of it, if that was a Raider who did that to, like, say, the Chiefs, then I'd be all about it.
Yeah,
so
you'd be all about
like
it.
I said, I hated him, and I still loathe him as the Chargers quarterback, but I can respect his game and respect that kind of gamesmanship.
Yeah.
Yeah, Phillip Rivers had that. If you want to shut me, if you don't like it, shut me up.
If you don't want to shut me up, do it then.
Yeah.
And honestly, I like that kind of competitor. Like I liked Reggie Miller in basketball. Like he's like, that's the type of person I like. It's just like competitor. I might get on your nerves, but shut me up. Like I just like that, man. Like I like I don't know if y'all old enough to remember like John Randall from the Vikings.
Oh,
yeah, like cats like that. I just liked it, man. So I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I do like the shit talking too. I like, because I like it's competitive. You know what I mean? You're there to win. You know what I mean? We're there to, you ain't supposed to like everyone. That's
we got guys like that. Jack Jones. I mean,
I love
exactly.
I love Max. I love Max. Max is an asshole. Right. Max is a bona fide asshole, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah, like it's good. And like when you said about Jack Jones, like seeing him like show up Mahomes right there, that just shows the birth of what's gonna be happening. You know what I mean? Like that, it was just like this is just step one. You know what I mean? It's good to see that because how long have we been holding our heads down? You know what I mean? We've been hanging our heads, and it just hasn't been looking up. And then last year gave us that jolt of, oh yeah, we can get with these boys. It ain't, there ain't nobody, and that's what we need. It's all about your attitude. It's all mental at the end of the day. Yeah, the physical gets you through it, but it's the mental that makes you sustain it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm excited. Definitely excited, man. Yeah, we went raw today. I was gonna go through questions and everything like that, but we was rolling today.
Yeah, sorry, Jason, if I played a part.
Oh, no, it was. Hey,
I didn't take you away from your structure. It's your show. My bad.
No, it's all us, man. It's all for the nation. You know what I mean? Yep. So, anything you guys want to touch on that we didn't touch on? Let me see.
Whatever you want, man. We rocking. Unless you gotta go, and whatever you want to do, man. We're here.
Oh man, we rolling. Shoot, no. One thing I'm gonna ask both of you guys. Pick 3 players that we must draft to make our team better. Any position.
3 players. Here you go ahead.
Yeah, it could be any, like, you don't even have to specify rounds or anything like that. Just 3 players we need to add to this squad to make us extremely better.
I'll go first because my answer is going to be pretty simple. As you know, Chris, I'm not the guy to ask when it comes to what specific players I want coming out of college because I didn't watch a lot of college football. And I'm not one of these cats who's going to pretend I know what I'm talking about just by watching highlight film or Google statting. You know what I'm talking about, Chris, because there's quite a few cats who are like that. Yeah. And I'm not one of them. So I'm not going to pretend I know this and that because I don't. All I can say is that I'll give positions, which I hope we address. I've already given you my opinion with regards to I feel it's time to swing for the fences with quarterback. I think the time is right and the time is now. So I hope we do that. We will see. But I'm right there with you. There's still holes that need to be addressed. I don't know. It's a double-edged sword. Like I want us to address in. I want us to get an interior guy, but at the same time, it's like, how many times have we swung for an interior in the last 5 years alone, and none of these cats have panned out. And we, with Tyree Wilson now shifting to defensive tackle, are we already given up on him if we go and get another guy? You know what I'm saying? Like, look at the last 3 drafts. We drafted 5 cats, like Neil Farrell, Matthew Butler. I don't know if either of those guys are on at least Neil Farrell's not on our roster anymore. Yeah. Butler's languishing on the practice squad. I don't believe he's going to be on our roster next season. Byron Young, a guy you didn't even remember his name.
Yeah,
that says it all.
I always struggle with it.
As much as I liked him, like I still like him. Like, he's a 7th round guy. Can he be any more than that? I guess we'll see. And Tyree Wilson, like, we want him to emerge as that defensive tackle. So, I don't know. Like I said, it's a double-edged sword, but we'll see. Linebacker, like we could always use another linebacker, like a linebacker who plays linebacker, not another kind of project kind of guy that we're trying to turn from secondary to linebacker. Can we not just get a linebacker who's produced at linebacker at college? You know what I'm saying? And just draft him to be a linebacker. Such a simple concept, right? Or maybe another outside corner kind of guy, or lineman. Sorry, that was a few. You said 3, but yeah, I gave you. Maybe a lineman somewhere. I think in those middle rounds is a good range to find, like, especially interior, because we've had success drafting interior. If we're looking between rounds like 2, 3, and to round 5, like, we found guys, whether they're starters or whether they're rotational guys. It's been a pretty consistent thing with the Raiders, so that's the route I would take, and maybe a running back, like mid to late. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have Josh. Hopefully, Josh Jacobs resigns, and Zamir White. He managed to prove to me that he can play. Whether he's the guy we run off into the sunset with, I'm still not sold yet. But he's shown he has the talent at the last quarter of the season. But I still believe we're in the search for a third guy, because Amir Abdullah, he's still here. But Amir Abdullah, like, he's all right, but that's all he is. He's all right. Mm-hmm. And these other cats, I'm not sold on at all. Brandon Bolton, thank you for your services. You can go. Sincere McCormick, thank you for your services, but whatever. Britton Brown, I'm hoping to see a little bit from in preseason if he comes back healthy. I think he missed a golden opportunity to really leapfrog Zamir White if he was healthy last preseason, but unfortunately went down to injury. So I'd be all with bringing in another running back to be that role guy, like a pass protector or a pass catcher out of the backfield, or a speedy kind of guy. So, yeah, sorry, you asked for 3. I gave a kind of list of demands. So my bad.
Hey, anything to help this team, because I mean, like, you're on the right track. I mean, because I had no argument really with anything you said, because I do feel we need to add another running back to the fold, another speed guy. Another guy on the other side of Jack Jones, of course. I hope, we hope Bennett, turns it around and comes, but worst case, we got Bennett. But, I do want us to add, I wanted Nate Wiggins. I liked his game. I liked what he had to offer, but like I said, he had the hip flexor, so it's gonna, we'll see how he kind of falls or whatever like that. But I like Arnold too. I like Mitchell, of course, but I feel like Mitchell will be probably taken if we don't, trade up or anything like that. But I feel like he'll be the first corner off the board. The tackle situation, I'm hoping we fix in free agency. You know what I mean? I hope we can, if it's the guard or both or the tackle position. It depends on what they do with Parnham. But yeah, I think it's just a couple pieces of here and there, which I can definitely go with. Chris, what about you?
So that's always a tough question to answer without knowing what we do in free agency. But just I really like Byron Murphy. Byron Murphy at tackle is he looks tough. He looks tough. He looks like the real deal. Me personally, I don't think I want to go corner in the draft, at least not near the top at all. I will say, what's that was Fuga or whatever. I do like him because he's like an old school Raider. He's just nasty. Like the way he just dominates grown men and just throw them on the ground. Like I love watching that. Pause. And then That was crazy.
You meant it how you said it, didn't you?
Yeah. And then I would probably say, if we did let JJ kind of walk, I like my boy out of Michigan, man, Blake Corum. That's my guy. He's a dog. We could probably get him later. He would be probably one of the only guys that I would feel comfortable letting Josh Jacobs walk. So that's kind of
you're on board with a running back as well.
Yeah, he's a running back. Yep.
No, I mean, like, you're on board with taking a running back in the draft process, not necessarily early, but somewhere along.
Yeah. I mean, I would if depending on what we do with JJ. Like, if we end up letting him walk and we say we bring in like one of the other veterans, then yeah, I would take Blake Corum later.
I like Corum too. Yeah. I like I feel like the Chargers, because that link to Harbaugh, I think they're gonna try to probably get him before us. But yeah. I definitely would like I like Trey Benson too. I've kind of watched a lot of his stuff too.
Yeah, he can play.
But are any of these guys scat backs or like like a pass catching option out of the backfield? Because if we do keep JJ, we've got two kind of downhill kind of bruiser runners that can run. They're predominantly running guys. You know what I mean? Like like a complimentary guy. Is that what these guys could be?
Yeah, Corum. I mean, Corum can catch. But he's more between the tackles.
Yeah.
But he's actually kind of built like Josh. Has good vision. But he wasn't in Harbaugh's offense. He wasn't asked to catch much, so he might be able to be a guy that can go out and. But he's not like a Austin Eckler or a Kamara. If you're asking that, he's not one of those guys that can.
No, he could be a bruiser. He could be a bruiser. He's
a bruiser. Yeah, but he's not going to be like a matchup problem against like a linebacker if he goes out in motion or anything like that.
Yeah, that's why I like Trey Benson. Trey Benson can get out there and catch. The guy from Oregon too. I can't think of his name right now, but I like because he's going to be there probably in the later rounds too. That's why like every time I'm doing these mocks, I can see him. He's always lingering there, but he can receive too. He's just like a little on the undersized side. So, but
I like Will Shipley. Will Shipley. I think he's where is he at? Clemson.
Clemson. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a little shifty guy.
He's not related to Jordan, is he?
I know, right?
No. Was he the guy who did that somersault for the Bengals? Remember that? The guy somersaulted over the
Jerome Simpson.
Oh, okay. It wasn't Shipley. Okay.
Yeah.
But you remember that play?
Yeah. Right in the end zone too.
Yeah, somersaulted into the end zone and landed on his feet. Perfect 10. Yeah.
I want to say
even did when they do it in gymnastics.
Yeah. So 3 guys that I hope. The guy, I know you guys have heard the name. I think it's Brandon Fisk. He's a defensive lineman from Florida.
He ran a good
State.
40.
Yeah, and he's a beast. Like, I think if we don't get one of the like main guys, DTs in like the first or second round, I think he could possibly. Well, I don't know. He might be there in a second, but I feel like we can get him late so that we don't have to spend that high pick on a defensive tackle. We can still get him probably for the low. And then what
do you think that says about Tyree though? If we take a defensive tackle, their faith in Tyree, if we take one in the first 2 rounds,
are they fully giving up on him as a defensive end? He's full DT.
See, that's the thing. I don't know.
Sorry to take you away from what you were saying. I'm just.
Oh no. That's definitely a good point too.
But the thing is,
what do you think that says about their faith in Tyree Wilson as a DT? Because I don't see him taking over Malcolm Kuntz, you know what I mean? Like, Kuntz is my guy as that complementary piece to Max Crosby. So,
see, but the thing is, I think when they drafted Tyree, they weren't expecting Malcolm Kuntz's emergence. So I think the fact that Malcolm Kuntz emerged the way he did, that gives us some flexibility with Tyree. Like, to me, I think they would probably prefer to have Tyree come off, be in a rotation and be an edge rusher Because that's his more natural position, but I don't know, because like you said, Malcolm Kuntz, it's gonna be hard to get him off the field now, man.
Right.
And then,
it's like I said, it's still an L, like having a guy you drafted at 7 being relegated and just kind of, settling with him being a rotational guy. Like
I agree.
I said it before, you don't draft in the top 10 for a rotational guy. You draft there for a guy who at the very least can be a starter in time. And that's going to be my least expectation with Tyree Wilson. So yeah, just back to what you were saying. You're talking about drafting a DT. I mentioned it too. It just begs the question, like, what does that say about their confidence in Tyree Wilson?
Yeah. Right. Well, you guys heard what AP? Did you guys hear that AP interview when they were just talking about everyone? They were like, "Yeah, Malcolm was good. Wilson, he'll be fine." You know what I mean? So I think he knows that.
Wait.
Yeah.
Did you say that? Is that quote what he said? Fine.
Yeah. He said he'll be fine. Like, just kind of like that. Like, he'll be fine.
You don't want to hear fine.
You know what it means when, like, say, you're in a relationship and a girl says, "Yeah, it's fine."
Yeah,
you know it's anything but fine.
Yeah. No, true that. Yeah, I'm hoping though. I'm hoping they know something that we don't know. I'm hoping that they've seen enough, and hopefully, because he was coming off the foot thing. So I'm hoping year 2 he'll come back stronger. He'll come back more confident. He'll come back able to do a lot more. But as we know, only time will tell. Yeah. So that was one. I already mentioned Nate Wiggins. I would love to add him to the squad. Just one of the top corners. I just definitely want someone to sew up that other side, so we don't have to keep addressing the same position and free agency, with these 1-year deals. I want us to develop our own Charles Woodson, Eric Allen, you know what I'm saying? Like that, get back to our Raider football, getting those lockdown corners, because that's where it starts. Because, we play, like I talk about all the time, we play in a division that passes a lot. So with Jack Jones's confidence, I think with adding Wiggins or someone like that would definitely just make it real tough in that secondary. And then another, so I said Brandon Fisk, Nate Wiggins. For that third position, I would probably say, because we've been so thin at the linebacker position for so long, there will probably be a lot of good linebackers in that third round. I'm good with either linebacker, if we go linebacker, and then after that, maybe I would probably go running back. I'd add another wide receiver too. Safety, I would definitely take a look at. Just one more. But really, it feels like we just need one of everything. Just one more of everything, just to fill in the other sides. And hopefully we address the quarterback. Like I said, the Russell thing would help us financially. It would just help us draft better. I get it too. I definitely want us to have our quarterback of the future. Me saying that I don't like to trade up just because it's crippling, because I feel like we could do so much more. You know what I mean? I'm not going to cash out on one player when I can break that up. I'm conservative. You know what I mean? I'm going to try to get the most bang for my buck. Like, I'm not going to spend everything in one place. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to break this down, because it's all about the bettering of the team. It's not one person can't be Superman. So, I'm not going to put faith in just one person. So that's why I said, like, I would like to break this up and just make our whole team better. If it shakes out, we get it. Because if it's meant to be, it's gonna happen. You know what I mean? There's nothing we could do to stop it. It's gonna happen. You know what I mean? So if it's meant to be, it's gonna happen. And I just hope that the cards are in our favor.
I get that, and I'm totally there with you in regards to, like, the conservative route, and like, you look at where it could go wrong, if we do look at trading up, and if it doesn't work out. You know what I mean? It's a potential move that can cripple a team for years. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I said it a few times. Like, I look at, like, what if it goes right? You know what I mean? Like, why can it not be us who gets it right just one time? What if we're swing for the fences, we trade all that draft capital, we're banking on him to be the future of this franchise, and like I said, take us to heights we haven't been. Because at the end of the day, like, these other positions are nice, but for me, it starts with the quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, most important position in football. And if the coaching regime believes there's a guy that can take us to said heights, for me, it's time to roll the dice. Like Leon said, like Leo said, scared money don't make money. You know what I'm saying? And that's for me. Like I just feel like the time is right and the time is now. If it goes wrong, it's just more of the same, right? Like how many times have we whiffed in the first round in the last 13, 14 years? More whiffs than hits. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And to that point, like we have managed to draft like fairly well in the mid to late rounds. So if we can at the very least keep doing more of the same, then we could still be in a good position if it doesn't work out with like the quarterback situation. Like if we miss on trading all this draft capital and we roll with whatever veteran quarterback, if it's Russell Wilson or like AOC, I believe he's still going to be on this roster for the next 2 seasons. He can at least we know that he can play and he can at least game manage, so to say, and get us some wins. Maybe he can take that next step. I haven't totally written him off. Like he still has a chance to make the job his own. Like I thought he did relatively well under circumstance. I mean, he wasn't expected to be the guy. A 4th round draft pick. He was supposed to sit behind. He was supposed to be the 3rd stringer behind Brian friggin' Hoyer. You know what I'm saying? But by hook or crook, like look how the season was going. We had him start, and he did okay. At least showed that he can get us some manage enough to, and play well enough to get us some wins. So yeah, that's just my flip side to what you're saying. I look at it can go wrong and go glaringly wrong, but what if it goes right? You know what I'm saying?
No pun intended, but it's just the PTSD from being a Raider fan, man. It's just, you know what I mean? Like it's because we've seen everything that could go wrong for us. So of course exactly. I'm leaning.
Why can't it just go right for one? Why can't it be us?
I've been asking that. I've been asking that since 2002. You know what I mean? Like I've been asking that same question, but you are right, and it is time for us because we are trending up, and things are maybe it's starting to shine the silver instead of the black. You know what I mean? We're starting to see the bright side of this thing right now. But I think nothing
wrong with black shining.
Yeah, hey. You know what I mean? Nothing shines like that silver and black, man. Yeah, right. It's and I just it's because it's been a long time since we have that guy, and if it is Jaden Daniels. He gives us that mobile person that we've been praying for, so we haven't been doing that well with these 1st round picks anyway. So, I mean, really, what are we really giving up, Right. And at least we got something to show for it this time. Right. So, if we do
Farrell, Damon Arnett, Alex Leatherwood kind of deal.
We got a whole starting squad of people that
Bums.
aren't starters, yeah. Bums. Yeah. So it feels like it's shifting. It feels like it is shifting in a more positive direction. So let's keep it going.
A lot to be excited for.
Yeah. Sure. Shout to you guys, man. This chat is busy.
Yeah.
Salute to you, Jason. It's been a very active chat, and to you, Chris. Like I know you're restreaming on your channel, so I appreciate you giving me the chance to chop it up with you guys.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, it's always a pleasure with you guys, man. I mean, I like the, not just you guys being Raider fans, but I love you guys' takes. I love the direction you guys want to take this team. So as long as anything to make this team better, man, I'm with it, man. And I like Chris said it earlier too, just how people kind of were putting players above the shield, and and it wasn't always like that. It was like we'll get rid of you in a minute if you're not for this team. Get out of here, because it's like this team is special. This team is legendary. It's like they don't need anybody. This Raiders are going to be Raiders regardless of who they don't bring, who they bring. You know what I mean? It's we've been trying to find our way ever since that Super Bowl, and we've got close and we blew it up. We got close again, blew it up. Like we just went to the playoffs a couple years ago, and it seems like we're far away again. But I feel like with the right stability at the quarterback, position, we'll be able to change that. Because last year was crazy. Our tight ends came up missing, and tight ends were a staple of ours. I'm actually reaching out to our guy Zach Miller too, man. Trying to get him on here too, because I remember just how dominant he was for us, and just how tight ends have been a staple. So that's one thing I want us to. Oh, that's another position too. I was going to ask you guys about the tight end position.
Yeah.
Do we draft another one? Do we we didn't see a lot from Hooper, so I don't know if Hooper's going to be around this year. I don't know if they're going to move on, but we got Michael Mayer. Do you guys feel like we should draft another tight end too?
Do you mind if I go first, Chris?
Yeah, go ahead, man. Yep.
All right. I believe Michael Mayer has the potential to be a very good, hopefully great tight end, because we've had that history of always having, in my time as a Raider fan, anyways, with the likes of Zach Miller, with the likes of Jared Cook, with the likes of Darren Waller, when Darren Waller was at his best. Remember, he was top 3 tight end in the league. So for the most part, we've had really good guys and good guys what was it? Brandon Myers. He was good when we moved on from Zach Miller. Kevin Boss wasn't that good, but I liked guys like Michael Rivera. I thought he was pretty decent for a minute. Clive Wolford disappointed, but those are just a list of some of the names. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mentioned Jared Cook.
Cook. Yeah.
So last year's overall production, as much as I liked some of the potential that Michael Mayer showed, and I don't believe he got as many targets. Well, maybe possibly he could have. It was very underwhelming for me personally. Also, I like Michael Mayer's run blocking. I thought that was quite exceptional for a guy who's just a rookie. I believe there's a future there with him, but outside that, I think we can still do better with our tight end room as a whole. Because last season was probably one of the least productive seasons at the tight end position we've had for the last 13, 14 years. So it's quite disappointing in that regard. So yeah, we can get better if we can get another guy who can. I don't know. We're banking on Michael Mayer's potential, and I believe it's there. But if we can find a guy better that might show more promise early on than what Michael Mayer did, then I wouldn't be against it. He hasn't solidified the role, right? He still needs time. Granted, he was only a rookie, but just saying.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing, kicking the tires on some guys. I wouldn't spend too much capital on them on a tight end, because I think Hooper can, give that veteran presence for now. I do think that Mayer is going to have a much better season. One thing about him, just coming out of college, his coaches always raved about just his work ethic. So I think that he's going to naturally be motivated this offseason. He's going to probably come in great shape. He's going to come in, he'll probably spend a lot of time with AOC over the off. He seems like a guy that's going to spend some time with AOC over the offseason, catch some balls, and work on his route running, stuff like that. So I expect to see a good year 2 jump from him.
Definitely.
Yeah,
so
I expect that too. But I said, did he show enough to solidify that?
Yeah, not yet.
That we're going to ride off with him, or could we possibly bring in competition?
Yeah, no, I'm with it.
Yeah, I liked. So a lot of people were high on Mayer. I liked Laporta coming out just because of the wiggle he had. He was just like a big ass wide receiver, but he could move. He's tight end, but he looked just like a big wide receiver. But he could move, and you see, he had a very successful season for Detroit. He gave them an extra weapon, in that receiving core. And oh man, I wish we could have went there, but I do like Mayer. I do like his game, and I think he will definitely be a good player. I just feel like we need to add another piece. Go ahead.
Sorry, just one last thing. The other thing that kind of gives me a little bit of optimism with Michael Mayer, that Michael Rivera and Clive Wolford. I like Michael Rivera, but those two guys by the numbers had more productive seasons than Michael Mayer. So yeah, it goes to my point, as he really sewed up that we're going to sail off into the sunset with him. But anyways, I'm sorry, Jason.
No, that was a great point. Yeah, because I wasn't really impressed You know, because I mean, it was this rookie season, but we've seen some rookie, like I said, Laporta. We just seen Laporta go crazy. But it's just I don't think he was used right because I think McDaniels, I think didn't want to expose that he was an idiot, and so he didn't play a lot of the people just out of fear that he would look stupid for drafting them or bringing them here. And I think the best players didn't hit the field. Like I really don't think so. And I think they were very I don't know it because the tight end position for him, you know, should have been a no brainer because that's what they did in New England with
Exactly.
and that's why it was shocking that that whole project did not work because the things that we thought like with Renfro, we thought oh he's the slot god like we like they had all these I can oh yeah Wes Welker and all these guys that they had in the past. Okay, we got that. We got Hunter Renfro. He's going to be that guy. Didn't go like that. Remember there was points in the games where we had to put out missing reports on Renfro during the season.
Yeah.
You know, like where's Renfro? Where's does he still play? Does anyone know if he's okay? You know what I mean? Like doing wellness checks on Renfro. But it's in the tight end situation. We're like, okay, he worked with Gronk. He worked with rest in peace, Mr. Hernandez. You know what I mean? But all the people that they had success with, we're like, okay, we got Mayer, so he's going to be able to, and no, he didn't do that. We thought that Jimmy, in the system of McDaniels and Hoyer being a double teacher, being someone that could teach them the offense, and they didn't even look like they knew the offense. So that whole thing was just a mystery of what the hell happened.
Remember people with how many people were talking about the dual tight end sets that never really happened?
Yeah. We thought it was going down. We thought it was going down. And it made me look stupid because I actually believe that this, me and Chris were talking about earlier.
It made me look stupid. I died, man. I was on that hill. I almost lost all credibility.
To be fair, though, Chris, I mean, on paper, it seemed to make sense.
Yeah, it made sense.
Tight end sets, but we just never really saw it, did we?
Yeah.
Wi-Fi Willie still sends shots for us believing in the McDaniels, and like he'll send a little shot on the show like
Wi-Fi Willie can't send a shot at me at all. So
I was never on the McDaniels train, but like at the same time, it pains me. It doesn't bring me any pleasure to say that it didn't work out. See, I told you so. Like I would prefer to be wrong about those things.
Me too.
Than be right about stuff that's detrimental to the Raiders. I would rather he did succeed and he did turn out.
Yeah, I was wrong. Yep.
If he was successful, then that means the Raiders would have been winning. And then if the Raiders are winning, that makes us all happy, right?
Exactly.
Oh, unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way.
Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah, because even when we got Jimmy, I was like, okay, he's got to win a record, and and I mean, I thought things were gonna go different, but I was wrong. Hey, I'm human. It happens. You know what I mean? But it's crazy. Like, I'm more about. I would be. I don't know. I agree with you guys. I wouldn't see it that way. I want our team to be better. I wouldn't do that. Say, I told you so. I told you. Because that doesn't help us at the end of the day. That doesn't get us wins or get us any closer. It
brings me no joy if I'm right with some of my optimistic takes and it turns out to be what happens. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't bring me any happiness or joy. I would rather be wrong about stuff that are detrimental to the Raiders being better or winning or producing, like when in terms of certain players. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not what I want at all.
Yeah, because I mean, it was some of the same people that were saying that they didn't want Tom Brady. You know what I mean? And I mean, I'm not the biggest Patriot fan whatsoever. I'm not the biggest Tom Brady fan whatsoever. But I'm smart enough to know that Tom Brady was better than what we had at the quarterback position. You know what I mean? Like, and I would have gave it at least 1 year to see, is he done or does he still got it? Because I mean, I've seen Brady, and the worst of Brady is better than the best of what we had this year. I was gonna say this earlier. I forgot to say it when we were talking about like the AOC thing. AOC. So we seen the best of AOC, I think, during the we could say the Charger game, that second Charger game. And then we seen the worst of him in the Minnesota game. So that's kind of our bar for him. Like what of what he can be and then what he can't. Because I like what that Charger game. It feels like he was loose. It was I feel like a tanking Chargers team, but he still did what he did. It looked good. It looked good, and he shows that he has the ability to sling the ball and get the ball too. And he spreaded the ball out that game too. But like I said, we had the Minnesota game where we couldn't get nothing going. We couldn't even see the other side of the field or the other side of the 50.
But again, to what I said before, look, he's a rookie, a fourth-round guy who was expected to sit and not expected to be thrust into the fire. So perspective, I think he did a decent enough job. Whether he's our guy moving forward, he's going to get that chance. I go with my gut. My gut tells me if we go through the draft and we take a swing at a guy, I believe that if it goes right, we're going to find a guy who has a higher ceiling and a higher trajectory than, say, AOC, who still is going to trend upwards. I don't see him, going downwards from here. Like he's going to have time to develop, but I just don't see his ceiling being as high as, say, if we swing for someone this year and early in the draft. That's my opinion.
Definitely so. Shout to the chat too, man. You guys have been giving some good comments, good questions, and everything. It's just so much. It's like trying to get to everybody.
At some point.
Yeah, I was like, man, trying to get to everybody, man. I appreciate you guys because you guys have been active in it. Appreciate it. A lot of great takes, a lot of great views too. Yeah, that's why I don't understand why we're struggling. Because like Raider Nation knows what we need to do. I think maybe they need to start listening to us now. Because I mean, we've seen this team, and we know where it went bad, and we know where our holes are. Like no one knows the holes on our team like Raider Nation, man. Because it's like we see it day after day. There's times where our team lets us down. Like my most frustrating points are when we don't get these 3rd and 1s, these 4th and 1s. And it's like I feel like there's no reason. Just pound. We need that line that can just play bully ball. And right now we don't have it. Someone just made a point that he said we need 3 O-linemen. You know what I mean? Which, it's looking like that because it depends on what we do with Luminor and all them, but we can always upgrade this line. Like we
still have pieces there though. There's still young guys that are there. I mean, Colt Miller's been the staple of our offensive line. And I believe he's still got another 2 years of being that staple before we may have to look at like other options. But like, Dylan Parham, like I don't believe he's great or good, but I think he's good enough for now. And he's only a second-year guy who's trending upwards, and like he's another staple of our offensive line and should be for the next few years. Thayer Mumford's a guy I believe is a forgotten man, like a 7th round guy who came in, and has done very well in my personal opinion. Whenever he had his number called, like when he took over it with Colton Miller, when Colton Miller went down to injury at left tackle, I was very impressed by him and his pass blocking, and I think he's done a reasonable enough job on that right side. So he's another guy that's there. So we do have young cats in the room to build that offensive line. It's not all the way terrible. There were moments last year, especially early on, where I thought we were really bad, especially in the run block game. I mean, that Bills game, I had never seen run blocking that atrocious in my time as a Raider fan ever. Even the years we had, like your point, Chris, you keep talking about Khalif Barnes, like 2012, 2013, like the years where we had Khalif Barnes at left tackle because we lost Jared Valdir, and we had a whole bunch of who the hell are those guys? Do you remember that guy, Willie Smith? I bet you don't. The turnstile at right tackle, like even then it wasn't as bad as what that run blocking was for that specific game. But back to like what we have, I still think there's some young pieces there that we can build around.
Yeah, I like Alfredo's comment right here. He said being a fan of this team is a full-time job.
It is. It is.
Definitely, man. Yeah, I think we had some good convo today, man. We got to definitely do this again.
For sure, man.
Yeah, appreciate you guys, man. Any let them know where they can find you.
Well, me. Oh, well, for me, man, just Protect the Shield podcast. I am on YouTube, of course. You can also catch me on IG. I'm on Facebook and TikTok. So and on X. So if you ever want to talk ball, I'm usually very active in my DMs, man. So I like to talk ball with a lot of you guys. I know, a lot of people in these comments right now. I talk with on the regular, Cowtown, Luda, and Leo, and Spicy and Jack, and a lot of people in here. I talk to Angelo. I talk to quite often. So, that's where you can find me. I have my Fan Talk Friday show every Friday. Me and Spicy Raider Girls gonna start up our Wednesday show again. We're called the Spicy Shield Talk. So we're gonna be starting that up actually this Wednesday, and I do the Syndicate Sunday that I do on Sundays with my boys. So just right now, just working, man. Just trying to keep things going during this off season. While we're trying to keep things going and trying to stay away from the rumors and just get the facts out. So that's what we're up to. But thank you for having me on, Jason, man. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate you coming on my show yesterday.
Man, pleasure.
And shout out to AR. That's my boy, man. Always love sharing a panel with him.
Always, Chris.
Yes,
thank
sir.
You.
Yes, sir. Mighty AR.
Well, first things first, thanks for having me on the panel. I appreciate the invite, and it's always good to chop it up with you, Jason. And it's really nice to see you have such a good turnout with the active chat and everyone who's pulled up. I mean, Jason, like you've been doing this for about a year now, is when I think I discovered you, and I think it's a travesty you don't have more traction with your channel. Like, not that you're not gaining traction, but like I believe like you have such a good delivery and takes, and he's such a good, humble guy. Like he deserves like a turnout like this, and it's been really good to see, and I'm humbled to be a part of it. So I appreciate you, Jason. Chris, as always, like you've always shown me love, and nothing has changed that, and I appreciate sharing the panel with you, and it's always good to chop it up with you. And sometimes we have conflicting like opinions, but like it's always a healthy
love,
debate.
man.
So
yeah, it's all love,
man. It's all love.
It's all about that shield first. That's all we care about. The shield first.
That's all we care about. Yeah, right. Is that right there? So. Yep. But anyways, as for my side of the fence, Afakazi Raider, that's my YouTube name. That's AFAKASI. And just out of curiosity, what that means is that I'm a born Australian, as maybe you can tell by the accent, but like I'm half Samoan. So you got Samoan Raider, who's my 10,000th cousin. True story. Nice. Not really, but anyway. But so I'm half Samoan, so that's what the name means. But if you struggle to, some people struggle to say it, some people struggle to type it. I go by the nickname AR. You can type in Raiders World Order into YouTube search, and you'll find my side of the fence there. I'm just another Raider content creator, just trying to find his way. So that's my channel there. So if you want to come chop it up with me, I do Raider content as well as some gaming. Shout out to my guys, the Raiders World Order, Raider Joe on 6. Those are my guys that I usually chop it up with, and Raider Critique. We do some gaming. So that's my side of the fence. But I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on, and salute to everyone in the chat.
Appreciate you, AR. Man, appreciate you both, man. We Raider Nation, we set records today, man. This has been a live chat. We've had a lot of views. We appreciate having you guys both on. Great content. AR with the Raider content plus the gaming content. And then we got the PTS podcast with Chris. Always good content. Interviews, a lot of good stuff going. And, we got the off season, so there's more coming. So, like I said, I'm reaching out to some players. So hopefully within these next weeks, we'll have some interviews going. I'm gonna invite you guys on too, just so we can get it together, and we can try to double this up.
So, you had a former player. You had a player on your podcast a little while ago, didn't you?
Yeah, we had Nesta Jade, and we had
right.
George Tarlis.
That was quite a coup. I remember.
Yeah, that was, and it was clutch time too, because it was like right before we were about to start the season. It was kind of nothing going on, so it was kind of perfect timing. So I'm hitting it early now. Like you said, I've been almost a year into it, and we're gonna sky's the limit, man. For all you guys, I wish you guys the best of success, and let's keep doing it, man. Keep repping this team like we do.
Keep on keeping on.
Yes, sir. So, man, Nation, we love you. We appreciate you. Enjoy your Saturday, and Raiders for life, man.
Just win, baby.
Just win. Let's go.
Let's go.